The Mavericks welcome back an old friend, it's Tim Hardaway Jr. on homecoming night, if you will, at the American Airlines Center. We'll get you ready for tonight's game. Coming up next on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella. We are DLLS Mavs. Appreciate you joining us here on our pregame show. The Mavericks hosting the Detroit Pistons tonight at the American Airlines Center. We'll get you ready for tonight's game over the course of the next half hour. Appreciate all of you joining us on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel while you are here. And do the same for our podcast wherever you get your podcasts for free. It is game number 71 on the season for your Dallas Mavericks. Tip-off at 7:30 p.m. at the AAC. If you're going to be watching the game on television, you can watch it on WFAA Channel 8 and KFAA Channel 29. As tip-off at 7:30 with the Mavericks, of course, at 33-37 on the year, 19-16 at home. Welcome in Cade Cunningham, Tim Hardaway Jr., and the Detroit Pistons, 39-31 on the year, 21-15 away from Detroit. Detroit a 9.5-point favorite tonight with the over-under at 230.5. We'll let you know who's in, who's out. We'll focus in on our Mavericks player spotlight as well and let you know how these two teams are coming into tonight's game, Bobby, as the Mavericks on a 4-game losing streak, looking to hopefully get some home cooking going for a team that unfortunately has lost their last 5 straight at the American Airlines Center.
Yeah, I mean, we're through the looking glass now, KG. The Mavs, for the first time in a very, very long time, are at the outside looking in the play-in picture. They fall into 11th. Granted, they're still tied with Phoenix, but now all of a sudden they're only 2 games ahead of Portland. Like, it's getting late fast, and, you know, maybe some help is on the way. We're going to be talking about that a little bit too. AD, Gafford, and Lively all down with the Legends today practicing, and so maybe one or some or all of those guys will be back for the Mavs to try and help them as they make the playoff push that they seemingly still want to make. But in the meantime, they're just kind of floating in the ether. And tonight they're playing one of the better teams they've played in a while. The Pistons have been cooking for like a few months now.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham coming off a game winner against the Miami Heat the other night. Detroit playing well as they are looking to get back to the postseason. Shout out to Matthew in the chat. He says, I just saw my favorite Mavs pod host on the court. Studio must be close to the arena. Don't tell anybody. But shout out to you, Matthew.
But it is.
it is. But appreciate you tuning in with us here on the DLLS Mavs post-game or pregame show. Yeah, I had a chance to go to the arena for a little bit.
Yeah, how was that?
It was good, man. It's always good just to get back in the arena. I know obviously the vibes are a little meh right now, but it's always just good to see some folks who we don't get a chance to see on a regular basis with them having been on the road quite a bit as of late. So it's good to be back in the arena. Saw our guy Mark Stein. He's there as well. He's going to be in the house. He's going to be on our post-game show tonight. You don't want to miss that. He's got some big updates when it comes to the Mavericks big men, when it comes to Dallas and potential returns from them. So you definitely want to tune in to the DLLS Mavs post-game show later on this evening.
I do want to shout out John P. real quick.
Yeah.
John P. says, heard Detroit fans are calling Cade Motorcade. I love that nickname. That is a sweet nickname. Detroit, of course, the Motor City. Cade Cunningham. Motorcade in Dallas has a little bit of a different connotation.
Sure.
Based on some history. So hopefully nothing bad comes of it, but that is a really cool nickname.
Cade Cunningham making his first appearance in the regular season at the American Airlines Center as a member of the Detroit Pistons.
Hard to believe.
I know, it is kind of hard to believe. Of course, I believe Arlington Martin.
This is his 4th time through here, right?
It is, but not having played in the regular season.
Yeah.
So he has a chance to bring in his Pistons, who are playing extremely well. Let's set the table for tonight's game for both of these teams coming in. As far as the Mavericks are concerned, 11th, unfortunately, in the Western Conference. As Bobby mentioned, they are tied with the Phoenix Suns with the same 33-37 record, but by virtue of the tiebreaker that the Suns hold, they are currently holding down the final play-in spot in the West in the 10th spot, while the Mavericks are sitting there at 11th. Meanwhile, you know what Dallas is doing coming into tonight, having lost 4 straight and unfortunately 2-11 in their last 13 games, having a 5-game skid at home, looking to break that tonight against Detroit. So far this year, 13-26 against teams above 500 and 10-12 against teams in the Eastern Conference. Of course, coming off a heartbreaking loss on Wednesday to the Indiana Pacers as they get ready to play 6 of their next 9 games on the road after tonight, including what is a 4-game East Coast road trip beginning on Monday. So the Mavericks will have a couple of days off after tonight before they get ready to go on the road to take on Brooklyn starting on Monday. Meanwhile, the Detroit Pistons, Detroit basketball, 6th in the Eastern Conference right now. They sit just a game and a half behind the Pacers for the 4th seed. They've won 2 straight and 4 of their last 6 overall. Pistons, of course, 2-0 on their current 3-game road trip after a win, as I mentioned, on Wednesday over the Miami Heat. Cade Cunningham with the game winner, the bank 3-pointer that he hit on the road over Miami to get it done for them. They're 13-10 against the Western Conference this year. They've been beaten up on bad teams all year. In fact, Detroit 29-11 against teams below 500. That speaks to Bobby's point. When you get a chance to play in the Eastern Conference all the time, you're going to play a bunch of bad teams.
So many games, dude.
They've been beaten up on a bunch of bad teams. Yeah,
they played, what, the 40?
40 games. 40 games against teams below 500.
Tonight is the Mavs' 40th game against a team above 500.
That's right. Yeah. That gives you an idea of...
we're not the same.
No, it is not the same when it comes to how Detroit's game profile looks relative to the Mavericks. They've got a 3-game homestand against Detroit coming up after tonight that begins on Sunday against the New Orleans Pelicans. But give Detroit credit. They're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat, and you can do that when you play in the Eastern Conference.
Dude, best story of the season. And, you know, there's a bit of a vacuum, right, in that 6th spot. So coming into the year, we all figured in some order it would be Celtics, you know, Cleveland. I don't think anybody expected them to have this year, but we certainly expected them to be a top 6 team. The Knicks, of course, probably Milwaukee, and then Indiana just based off their success last year. You thought those 5 teams would be pretty safe. A lot of the other contenders, though, have completely fallen out. Like Philly is just, you know, their season from hell for them, much like with the Mavs. Orlando, I thought they were going to take a step forward, but they've been so banged up all season long. Again, similar to the Mavs. And then Miami, just completely torn apart at the seams. After that Butler trade, they've now lost 9 straight games.
Yeah, man.
And I mean, they're just, I mean, they look toast too.
I mean, we're not gonna feel too bad for Miami, but you know.
Yeah, and so like, you know, coming into the year, we thought, okay, that's like 8 pretty good teams in the East, but 3 of them, the bottom has fallen out, and there would be a vacuum there if Detroit hadn't gone and claimed it for themselves. I mean, other teams like Atlanta, the Bulls, the Raptors, they've all been bad. The Nets obviously bad by design. Hornets completely fallen apart too. So somebody has to make the top 6 in the East. But instead of it being a team kind of falling bass-ackwards into it, the Pistons are saying, no, not only are we going to finish top 6, but Detroit is only a game and a half out of 4th.
They are.
It would be so cool if they got home court advantage.
Yeah, JB Bickerstaff on the short list for Coach of the Year when it comes to the NBA, doing a fantastic job with Detroit. And they've got a all-star in Cade Cunningham, which we'll get to here in just a moment. But the lead story coming into tonight's game for your Dallas Mavericks, losing 5 straight games at home as they welcome back Tim Hardaway Jr., who, of course, spent 5.5 seasons with the Dallas Mavericks, making an NBA Finals with the Mavericks, obviously, last year before they moved on from him, sending him to Detroit in exchange for Quentin Grimes, who, of course, no longer is with the Mavericks, playing now for the Philadelphia 76ers. But the Mavs enter tonight's game a season high, or low, if you will, depending on how you want to look at it, a season high 4 games below 500 right now at 33-37. They play the next 4 games on the road after tonight, beginning on Monday with the Brooklyn Nets. So in a lot of ways, got to try, if they're trying to get this play-in spot. Phoenix is hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight at home, and they're in the middle of a 5-game homestand. So if you're the Mavericks looking at what Phoenix is dealing with in terms of their difficult schedule, you got a chance tonight. If you are trying to get that, you need a win tonight to give yourself an opportunity in that play-in spot there.
Yeah, again, I mean, it really feels like each of their last 3 or 4 games have been games of the season. You know, it's like you're running out of opportunities to win to stay in, if that's their goal.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's still unclear. You know, with the bigs practicing in the G League, you kind of figure that they're trying to ramp them up, or maybe it's just a token gesture. I don't know. You know, I guess only time will tell, but it seems like the organization still wants to try and make the playoffs. If that's the case, you got to get through the play-in to get there, and if you want to make the play-in, you got to win games at some point.
Yeah.
Phoenix is about to start its schedule from hell. Their next 9 or 10 games, like, impossible. Like, I cannot imagine a tougher stretch of schedule than what the Suns are about to take on. Meanwhile, the Mavs play the Pistons at home. That's a tough game. But then they got the Nets. They got at Orlando. They got at Chicago. They got versus the Nets. They got versus the Hawks. Like, they got some relatively easy games coming up, but playing a ton of teams that are below 500, from here on out through the rest of the regular season. And it is a chance for them to stack some wins and climb up. Now, if you want the Mavs to lose and if you want them to get a lottery pick or even improve their lottery positioning, then this is a huge game to lose because their next few games are relatively easy. You're going to want them to lose those ones too. Every game from here on out is either basically a must-win or a must-lose from the Mavs, depending on your perspective. So, we'll see what happens. But either way, half the fans are going to be happy, half the fans are going to be sad after every single game, really, for the rest of the year. Yeah,
coming into tonight, the Mavericks, if you're looking at NBA Tankathon, they are currently right now sitting in the number 12 slot when it comes to the lottery. So depending on how you want them to finish the rest of the regular season, they could find themselves maybe getting to the 10 pick in the NBA draft, depending on what happens with a couple of teams in front of them. But that will remain to be seen over the next 11 games now after tonight as far as the regular season is concerned. Let's look at Detroit. Detroit led by All-Star and DFW native Cade Cunningham coming into tonight, averaging nearly 26 points per game. That's 10th in the NBA, averaging 9.3 assists per contest as well. That's third in the association so far this year, over 6 rebounds per game for Cunningham. He has been absolutely fantastic, taking a huge step for this team and doing a lot of the things that we thought he could be doing coming out of Oklahoma State. He's been fantastic so far this year, the first-time All-Star for Cade Cunningham. Jalen Duren leading things for the defensive side for Detroit, averaging a double-double this year, 11.4 points per game and over 10.3 rebounds per contest. That's 8th in the NBA this year and averaging 1.1 blocks per game so far this year. Sir Thompson, the other half of the Thompson twins, averaging nearly 2 steals per game on the defensive end for Detroit. You know who's leading the Dallas Mavericks? P.J. Washington, who has been playing well since coming back from that sprained ankle. He's averaging 14.5 points per game, over 8 rebounds per contest, and a steal point, nearly 1.2 steals per contest while playing over 32 minutes a game so far this year. Had 22 points in the first meeting against Detroit way back when earlier this year, back on January 31st. Klay Thompson averaging nearly 15 points per game, shooting nearly 40% from 3 in 61 games so far this year. A good Detroit team coming into tonight. They're number 11 in the NBA in terms of points per game, field goal percentage as well, and a really good rebounding team. Number 7 in the NBA, averaging over 45 rebounds per contest. Number 8 in the NBA in defensive rating and top 15 in offensive rating. These two teams playing each other for the final time this season as Detroit looks to sweep the season series over the Dallas Mavericks. They won the last time these two teams got together on January 31st. You remember what happened the next day, don't you?
January 31st?
Yeah.
The next day, I completely blacked out.
Yep.
And woke up. I'm not sure I've woken up, actually, since
I don't
that day.
think a lot of
I'm
us
still living in a dream or a nightmare. I can't quite figure it out.
That's right. That would be the last day, of course, January 31st.
This is what purgatory is.
According to Michael Thompson, if you're talking to him about his son Clay right now. But the Mavericks, of course, and Detroit played each other on January 34th back in Detroit, where the Pistons got a 1-7.
That was really that was the night before?
Yeah. January 31st. That was the last night that Luka Doncic was officially a member of the Dallas Mavericks.
I would have guessed they played that game after that.
Nope. January 31st, yeah.
Time flies.
It does. Detroit got a 117-102 win that particular night. Cade went off, had 40 points in that win for the Detroit Pistons. Kyrie Irving had 28 points in the losing effort, but the Mavericks are 7-3 in their last 10 games against Detroit basketball. Coming up here momentarily on the DLLS Mavs pregame show, who's in, who's out, plus our Mavericks player spotlight focuses on Max Christie, and we'll hear from Jason Kidd as far as his pregame availability is concerned. But before that, let's help you win some money tonight when it comes to Sleeper.
Yeah, well, normally, KG, I try and play these pretty safe to maximize my chances of winning, but tonight on Sleeper, it's protected pick night. So you can make a $5 pick, and if you lose, you just get your money back. So I'm going big.
Scared money don't make money.
I'm going for quadruple
Let's
loaded queso.
Let's go.
All right, Jalen Duren, you're getting me a double-double. If not, I hate you forever. Cade Cunningham, I'm not going for 20 points. Remember, go big or go home. Cade, first game in Dallas, I think he's going to score at least 25 points.
Okay.
Najee Marshall, what does that say? 28.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. He's been stuffing the stat sheet lately. Sir Thompson, I think he's going to get at least 15.5 points plus rebounds plus assists, so at least 16. And then Max Christie, I think he's going to score at least 10 points. With Sleeper, the more you play, the more you win. The more you pick, the more you win. The multiplier on this one is times 2 10.27. Oh my God, I can't even read that number. It's so big. So my $5 pick, if I win, would net me $51.35. You better believe I'm going to be locked TFN on this game because if I win, we are all celebrating all weekend long. Thanks, Sleeper. If you want to play along with me, use promo code DLS Mavs when you sign up. Play $5 to get $55 in free plays. You can use them anytime, whenever the heck you want.
That's triple loaded queso if you're playing like that tonight.
That's like 5 orders of triple queso.
That's right.
That's like they're gonna have to order more cheese queso.
That'll make Tanner pretty happy, I'm sure. Let you know who's in and who's out before we hear from Jason Kidd as far as his pregame availability is concerned. Let's start with the visitors and the Detroit Pistons. Pretty clean injury report for them. Jaden Ivey, he is the only one out. He, of course, is dealing with the left fibular fracture. Meanwhile, for the Dallas Mavericks, lengthy, unfortunately, as always, as of late. But Brandon Williams, he is available tonight. He's been dealing, of course, with the left hamstring tightness, and he is available. Otherwise, you know who else is out. Interesting, though, inactive tonight, and you'll hear why from Jason Kidd here in just a moment. Kessler Edwards has been made inactive tonight. Of course, he came into tonight's game with 1 game remaining on his 2-way contract, but according to Jason Kidd, which you'll hear from right now, they're going to save that when he goes on the road trip. Here's more of what Jason Kidd had to say during his pregame availability.
All right, let's medical. Prosper, Irving, Martin, Exum, Gafford, Lively, and Davis are all out.
Just what kind of progress report do you have on the guys that practice for the Legends today?
Doing well. Positive day. That's about it. Short and sweet.
No timetables, no. Okay.
No. Positive day.
See, is AD doing 5-on-5 and contact and everything?
Yeah.
What type of work did Lively and Gafford get down here?
They played 3-on-3. And so everyone had a positive day today. So we'll see how they feel tomorrow, and then we'll continue to keep pushing forward, and hopefully they can get on the court, with the team. They're already on the court, but hopefully we can get them back in uniform and playing. But there is no timetable. It's all been positive. This is AD's second time with the G League, so a lot of good stuff.
All right, we're going to get back to him in a second, but I can understand why fans are a little annoyed with J Kidd, just in general, because that was such a non-answer, dude.
Yeah.
You sent 3 bigs down to the G League.
Mm-hmm.
What's the situation? It was a good day. Does it mean they're coming back? It was a good day. All right, but for real, are they going to come back?
Is there a timetable?
No timetable.
Nope.
All right, so that means that they might not. Well, we'll see. Hopefully they can play, but there's no timetable.
Yeah, man.
I feel honestly,
Cook, Bobby.
Can we be honest here?
Let's go. Safe space.
If you're trying to keep fans attached to what's going on here, and I know it's not Jason Kidd's job to be the head of PR for the Mavs. I know it's not his job. I know Jason Kidd is going to get paid whether or not fans show up to the game. I know Jason Kidd is going to get paid whether or not the team wins because his contract is guaranteed. It's awfully nice to be a coach. But dude, you've been without a center for 3 months now, it feels like.
Yep.
All of them are practicing with your minor league team. There's 3 weeks left in the season, and you're outside of the play-in. Are these guys coming back or not? Should fans have any hope for them to come back or not? Now, I think that J Kidd kind of saying nothing is his way of communicating that the decision is out of his hands. It probably means that he might be disagreeing with whatever the decision is. So whatever ends up happening, maybe J Kidd isn't a fan of that. I don't know. But I really feel like right now is not the time to be Machiavellian about it. They've lost, 10 of their last 13 games or something?
11 of 13.
Yeah, their season is looking completely hopeless right now. They have 3 extremely talented guys that are making some level of progress toward coming back. Please just shoot straight. Say, they're pretty far off, but we're hoping to get him back. Say, one of them's coming back really soon. Get ready. He's ramping up, and we're excited. Give us anything. Just give us anything to look forward to. Now I feel like non-answers just suck right now. Non-answers suck. Please just shoot straight.
Yeah, and honestly, before the Pacers game the other night, he was posed a similar question when it came to Anthony Davis, and he had said similar to the effect of, he's a ways away from returning to play games. And that answer that you heard kind of gives you more indication. While there is progression, obviously, the amount of urgency doesn't necessarily seem to be there. Now, you'll hear more from our Mark Stein during the post-game show tonight on specifics when it comes to Lively, Gafford, and Davis and what it means for the final 11 games of the regular season. But this does not seem like a team who, as you mentioned, is sitting on the outside of the play-in looking in, that there's a lot of go get it right now when it comes to the idea of getting in to the tournament here.
Your fans want to hear some urgency, dude.
Yeah.
Like the fans, like, there's so many Mavs fans that hate the team now and that might not come back ever. There are a lot of Mavs fans that still want to root for this thing. Like, give them something to hang on to. Like, give them something to look for. Your season is fading fast. Are you trying to save it or not? Are you going to do anything about it or not? What he could say is like, man, I really hope they come back soon. I wish I had a better answer for you, but it's so up in the air. But I would love to see these guys on the floor because they're so good. And, we're trying to do this thing, and we think they can help us. That kind of answer would kick so much ass. Yeah. That would be awesome. People would love to hear that. It's something to cling on to. It's something to hold on to. It's a reason to watch the games. It's a reason to stay attached. It's a reason. It's a reason to stay engaged. Yeah. Like, give us that. Come on.
No, I feel that because a lot of fans.
You and I deserve that.
I don't think they give a damn what we deserve or
no,
not.
No, for sure. They don't owe us anything, but like, don't act like you don't owe us anything. Just play along.
Yeah, just play. We'll get along to get
There's
along.
There's 10 games left. Come on.
For sure. Let's finish up with what Jason Kidd had to say pregame before we continue here.
All right, let's not into with the team. They're already on the court, but hopefully we can get them back in uniform and playing. But there is no timetable. It's all been positive. This is AD's second time with the G League, so a lot of good stuff.
You guys using that last Kessler game tonight?
No, actually, he is out too. So we're not using that. He's out.
It's a very physical Detroit team. How do you kind of combat that with the limited amount of bodies that you have, especially in the front court?
Yeah, I think so you got to use your speed, but also we got to be physical too. We can't back down from their physicality. We understand that that's what they're going to do, and so we have to brace for that. But we can be physical too, and again, we got to be able to get out and run. We got to rebound the ball. They're a big group, and so we have to be able to box out and secure the rebound when they do miss, and then we got to put a little bit more pressure on them in that transition game.
How do you determine when to use that last game for Kessler?
Yeah, as we go forward to see if understanding if everyone comes out of this clean, we'll take him on the road and we'll figure out if he'll play Monday or Tuesday.
Jason, tonight's the first time that Cade Cunningham's had a chance to play back here in his hometown. What's your perspective on the player that he was when he came into the league and how much of a leap he's taken here by season number 4?
Yeah, I think, when you look at what he's done this year, he has taken a big leap. When you look at Shea, I kind of compare him to Shea, and every year he's added something or he's gotten better at his game, and so I think he is a problem offensively. He can score, he can find the open guy, he puts a lot of pressure on your defense, and so but you can see that he's worked extremely hard on his game, and so I would, when I look at his game, I kind of compare him to Shea. As each year he adds something, he gets better, and you can see, he's the head of the snake of that team. When he's going, they're going at a high level.
That's a great
we see, we might as well acknowledge it. We see you in the chat. God is going to cut you down, an ode to Johnny Cash with your handle there.
Great song.
He says that Cade Cunningham and Bryson DeChambeau are still Dallas fans.
Is that the song that's like, you can run a long time? Oh, that's a great song.
If you're a big wrestling fan, you would know about that too, because The Undertaker used that for one of his songs for one of his entrances for, I believe, WrestleMania 27, I believe.
If I had to guess, can I guess?
Sure.
If I had to guess, they'll use Kessler's last game either at Brooklyn or at New York because it's a back-to-back.
Sure.
Maybe they don't want Kai Jones playing both.
Yeah.
And considering those are the only two centers, I guess kind of that's it. You know, you got to keep Kai Jones fresh.
Gotta keep him fresh because he's pretty much the only big man available outside of.
You're gonna get 15 from Dwight. That's about it.
That's about it. Yeah, because he's been still pretty much on a minutes restriction. Honestly,
I don't know if that's health related.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, so there it is. Yeah, from God's Gonna Cut You Down. Yes, sir. Love that song. Yes, rest in peace to Johnny Cash. But you heard it from Jason Kidd, Kessler
Maybe
Edwards.
I am.
Wow, is that your Johnny Cash impression?
Nah, it's, yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, Kessler Edwards is going to be inactive tonight, so they will save that for the road trip coming up beginning on Monday. That means 9 players though are active tonight for the Dallas Mavericks as far as their roster is concerned. So go get them.
How are they going to find minutes for all these guys?
I think it'll be pretty easy. I think it'll be fairly easy tonight for the guys that are available. I mean, hell, they had 6 of the 8 guys available in double figures in the game against the Pacers when they scored 131 points and still found a way to unfortunately lose that game, or fortunately, depending on how you're feeling about that. But let's look at our Mavericks player spotlight coming into tonight's game, and we focus in on Max Christie coming into tonight's game. Over his last couple games, averaging 17.5 points per game and 8 rebounds per contest as well. Shooting the ball better from 3, 55% in his last couple of games from downtown. We thought the Monstars had zapped his talent for a while there because he was not shooting the ball well. But his shooting is starting to come back a little bit, Bobby, when it comes to Max Christie and what we're seeing on the floor from him, which is going to be a good sign for the Mavericks to continue to get some scoring for him, because those first couple of weeks after the trade, Max was cooking, and we know how he felt about the trade, but he's been playing a little bit better as of late.
Shooting numbers going up, confidence with his shot, with creation seems to be going back up.
Mm-hmm.
What I need, though, confidence on the ball, man. Sometimes he's dribbling into space that isn't there, or like anticipating something to happen, maybe that doesn't happen, almost like he's getting a little bit ahead of himself. Obviously, that turnover at the end of the Pacers game was a killer, unless you wanted the Mavs to lose. In which case it was a real winner, a resurrector of sorts. But
chef's kiss on the way if you're trying to lose games.
Yeah, just stronger with the ball. Now, I mean, a player just improving his ball handling doesn't happen overnight. That's like a multi-year, like summer-long project over the course of many years or whatever. But you know, he does have some spin moves and some dribble moves that, you know, he clearly works on. You can see them pay off in games. So I do have hope for his long-term viability there. But yeah, just be more decisive, but don't be too decisive. Do a lot, but don't force it. You know, play hard, but not too hard. Like, I think right now for him, it's like, find your limitations. Yeah. What's the most you can do? What's the most shots you can take? What's the hardest you can go? Fastest you can run? Things like that without losing control.
Yeah. And one of the things, and not just Max Christie himself, but one of the things we've been constantly talking about on this show, regardless of how the season's been in the gutter in a lot of ways, especially from an injury standpoint, one thing we know that they're going to do is compete every night. And I expect them to do the same even against a good Detroit team that's coming in and playing well right now. The Mavericks have played hard all season long, despite whatever adversity that they have been dealing with. Expect more of the same tonight as Tim Hardaway makes his return. Real quick, Tim Hardaway, tribute video for him?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Played here for 7 years, right?
5.5.
Oh. Well, then, hell no. Just kidding. No, yeah. He'll
Forget that other year and a half.
Yeah, no, he'll get a video for sure.
Yeah. I expect a really nice reception for Tim Hardaway Jr., a guy that played with a lot of, you know, he played very hard here. Sometimes streaky shooter, sometimes not so great. But one thing he did was, I thought, it'd bring most of the time consistent effort around here.
One thing I'm curious to see is which plays. I know there's a big right wing 3 against the Clippers from the playoffs. You'll see he had a really nice dunk against the Nuggets, if memory serves, where the seas parted and he had a real nice like tomahawk kind of dunk. He had a couple shots where he popped off afterward and was like, you know, really screaming and really getting into it. Had a couple big plays against the Hawks in the game during the COVID season too.
Him and Kyrie had a 40-point game together against the Pelicans. Which
that'll definitely be in there. He was great against the Knicks, which was like the next game, I think, right after that or right before that.
Didn't he have like 9 threes against Miami?
He did. I think
he had a huge game.
Was it 9 or 10 threes he did against Miami?
He had a 10-3 game for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see some of that stuff. You'll see some of his community stuff. The Mavs usually try and blend it. But back in the day, that was one of my responsibilities is former players send lists of their best moments as a Mav to look for film from for the tribute video. So I can say with a pretty fair amount of certainty that Tim will get a nice lengthy tribute video.
That's awesome. Hola, Mexico. That's in the chat right now. Shout out to you. Appreciate you hanging out with us here. Real quick X Factor before we go here. Got to protect the ball against Detroit. Detroit is really good in terms of taking away, or not only just taking away, but also getting out in transition. They're 4th in the NBA in terms of points off of turnovers, averaging 19 points per game off of turnovers. So if you're the Mavericks, not only protect the ball, but you got to keep them from getting buckets off of those turnovers. We'll be back here 15 minutes after tonight's game is over with. We'll be joined by our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, live from the American Airlines Center as well, with his thoughts, not only on tonight's game, but updates on the Dallas Mavericks 3 big men when it comes to Anthony Davis, Dereck Lively II, and Daniel Gafford. So you don't want to miss that on our post-game show. I appreciate our guy Tanner. Make us look good and sound good as always. Appreciate you, sir. That is our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Krella. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. It's game time for your Dallas Mavericks as a host. Tim Hardaway Jr., Kate Cunningham, and the Detroit Pistons. We'll talk to you after the game on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.